A few days can completely change the course of centuries. In this explainer, we're going to dive into how Alexander the Great's super brief but very calculated visit to the ancient city of Ephesus kicked off a transformation that would redefine it for 1,000 years. It's an incredible story of myth, power, and one of the most brilliant political moves in history. Our story really kicks off not with a historical fact, but with this amazing legend. The idea that the goddess Artemis herself was absent from her own temple because she was busy attending the birth of Alexander the Great. This myth basically welded the future conqueror to the fate of one of the ancient world's greatest wonders. And man, did it set the stage for a dramatic encounter. To really get the weight of this legend, you first have to understand Ephesus and its protector, the goddess Artemis. See, this wasn't just some local deity. She was the absolute heart of the city's identity, its culture, its power. And here she is. This is the unique Ephesian Artemis, a figure with these deep, ancient Anatolian roots that were around way before Greek influence. Her temple, the Artemisian, was way more than just a place of worship. It was a massive economic engine, a cultural center, and, of course, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. It really was the soul of the city. Then came that fateful night. While Alexander is being born over in Macedonia, an arsonist torches the temple in Ephesus. So the story spreads that the goddess was away, playing midwife for the great Alexander. Now, this was more than just a convenient excuse. It was treated like a prophecy, a cosmic link that would follow him all the way east. Okay, let's fast forward 22 years to 334 BCE. That baby from the myth, he's now a king and a general. Alexander is standing at the gates of Ephesus, not as a legend, but as a conqueror. And the city's entire fate is just hanging in the balance. Now, his arrival didn't just come out of the blue. He was fresh from this massive, decisive victory over the Persian Empire at the Battle of the Granicus, and he was basically marching his way down the coast. And his whole campaign wasn't just framed as a conquest. It was all about the liberation of Greek cities from under Persian rule. And this is so crucial. When Alexander's army arrived, the Ephesians didn't see a foreign invader. They saw a fellow Greek, a liberator, who was kicking out the unpopular pro-Persian government. And by smartly restoring their democracy, Alexander made sure they would throw open the gates and welcome him, not as a conqueror, but as a savior. But Alexander's real genius in Ephesus wasn't on the battlefield. Oh no, it was in the political theater he put on at the ruins of the very temple whose destruction had supposedly coincided with his birth. This was a total masterstroke. First, he made this big show of respect, leading a grand procession right to the sacred site. And then he made a jaw-dropping offer. He, Alexander, would personally pay for the entire reconstruction of their wonder of the world. There was just one tiny condition. The new temple had to be dedicated in his name. And this is where you see just how sharp both sides were. The Ephesians had a huge dilemma. How do you refuse an offer like that without offending this incredibly powerful conqueror? Well, their solution was pure genius. They replied that it just wasn't fitting for one god to build a temple for another. This flattered Alexander like crazy, but it also politely shut him down, letting Ephesus keep control of its most sacred site. So Alexander didn't get his name on the temple, but he got something way more valuable, a loyal and powerful ally. His visit kicked off this period of intense Hellenization, this wave of Greek culture that just started to flood into every part of Ephesian life. You can literally see this cultural shift stamped right onto their money. For centuries, Ephesian coins had this bee on them, a symbol of their ancient Anatolian goddess. But after Alexander's influence took hold, boom, their silver coins start showing the head of a purely Greek Artemis. It might seem like a small detail, but it's a huge sign that the city was pivoting to a whole new Hellenistic world. But Alexander's influence wasn't just cultural. His visit actually laid the groundwork for a complete physical reinvention of Ephesus, creating the very city that we can still walk through today. So, get this, when you visit the incredible ruins of Ephesus today, you're not actually seeing the city that Alexander walked through. You're seeing the city that was born out of his conquest, the one planned and built by his successor, a general named Lysimachus. Alexander's legacy is literally etched into the landscape. See, the old city's harbor was silting up, which was a massive problem. So Lysimachus, carrying on Alexander's vision, made this incredibly bold move. He relocated the entire population to a new spot with a better harbor. And this new Hellenistic city plan was so successful, it allowed Ephesus to thrive as a major metropolis for centuries to come. So there you have it, a conqueror's brief visit. This perfect mix of myth, military power, and brilliant diplomacy didn't just liberate a city, it fundamentally remade it for the next 1,000 years. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often are the biggest turning points in history not the loud, grand battles, but these quiet, calculated moments that just echo on for generations?